This video is brought to you by Surfshark VPN, the #1 recommended VPN by skeletons. Scan the QR code on the screen or click the link in the description to get Surfshark with a mind-blowing 83% discount and get additional 3 months of using it for free. You may be wondering why the skeletons recommend Surfshark so highly. Could it be the access to films and TV shows not available in the skeleton realm? Goblin Island isn't available outside of the Goblin realm, but it's one of the most popular shows in the skeleton realm. Or could it be the reassurance that the skeletons can safely and securely do their online banking on a public Wi-Fi service? Plus, use on unlimited devices means the skeletons and myself highly recommend Surfshark, and they think you'll recommend it too. Try it yourself by using my code MEMEculture or scanning the QR code on the screen for 3 free months, plus a crazy 83% discount. There's even a 30-day money-back guarantee. No skeleton with or without flesh could turn that down. Click the link in the description and thanks Surfshark for sponsoring this video. Alright, ad time over. Let's start. The way memes affect politics is an insanely huge topic, as the digital medium has allowed more people than ever to engage with political issues previously deemed inaccessible before the rise of social media. If you're a regular viewer of this channel, then you've probably got a baseline understanding of the fact that memes can influence people due to their inherent structural composition and messages, as well as the communities that share them. As such, the world has a way for anyone to communicate and instantly understand ideas that can shape our world, and yet this can be, of course, quite the double-edged sword. From helping to elect presidents, to a certain political compass becoming the norm, from facilitating communication and interaction amongst participants of political protests, to encouraging genocide, as well as becoming the de facto method of communication on the internet, memes have undoubtedly changed the way ordinary people understand the world forever. Evidence of this resides in a ton of academic peer-reviewed articles tackling these very topics, as it's clear the world's scholars have a keen interest in meme culture and the manner in which it is changing our society. Considering the fact that the topic is so big and nuanced, this video will attempt to condense the subject into several high-impact sub-stories for clarity's sake. This means it cannot possibly be understood as a properly academic and credible source, as it's simply an attempt to relay extremely complicated issues to a YouTube viewer audience. However, if you have any extra ideas you'd like to share regarding online movements changing the way politics are understood, then please comment below. So, let's get into the question. Are memes destroying politics? The political compass is one of the most popular self-diagnostic tools online, and features heavily in meme culture as an accessible indicator of political ideologies. Whilst different ideas of how a compass might look have existed for decades, the website politicalcompass.org is perhaps the most famous, having been introduced to the internet in 2001 and runs on a website indicative of that era. Despite being insanely popular, it's no surprise the political compass is extensively satirized by academics, scholars, and even creators like JRAG, who excels in bringing the two-dimensional faults of a graph with only 4 named positions to light. On a side note, the man has literally gone and applied for the position of mayor for Ottawa, which demonstrates just how effectively memes can be when used to bolster a political campaign. Without social media, it may have been far more difficult for him to get the attention he has now. This is due to the fact that the political compass is often criticized for being reductive. It's a two-dimensional plane in which 4 options are given when it comes to distinguishing political ideology, and many of the statements created in order to determine one's position can be shallow and lack nuance, just the same as pop culture-inspired political spectrums on only one dimension. Of course, the compass accounts for this, stating it's supposed to be vague and measure only feelings. This means it can give people the impression that there are only a limited number of political viewpoints strung between left and right, or libertarian and authoritarian, giving rise to limited understanding. Even with extra labels put in by third parties, the political compass will only ever reflect the cultural standpoints of the current era it has made, meaning it is highly open for interpretation. That being said, the accessibility of the compass has allowed many to engage in an arena previously unreachable, simply because it simplifies a gigantic clusterfuck into just a few dozen ideas. You can understand why the political compass is so widely criticized, yet manages to capture the attention of millions, as it can genuinely be useful in getting people to understand where their ideology lies, yet can prevent them from taking it any further in any meaningful way outside of internet politics. Even when inundated with wojaks, the compass still utilizes ambiguous stereotypes like the hippie and the traditionalist, which can mean a huge range of things to any given person depending on their upbringing and environment. Essentially, this can hinder political discourse by personifying the idea that memes give too little policy information to be effective educators. These stereotypes may be jokes, but people do identify them when browsing to see where they place on the political compass, meaning this tool can determine the way in which some see the world and thus simultaneously improve, yet obstruct political discourse. Okay, we have got to talk about meme presidents. Far before articles and videos discussed Trump's rise to power with help from meme culture, there was Barack Obama's meteoric ascent, and before then Bush's famous 2004 internet's trend. Obama enjoyed massive social media presence leading up to his 2008 campaign, to the point where his famous Hope poster was not in fact created by a PR team, but in fact by artist Shepard Fairey, the guy who went on to create the Obey brand. Whilst it was first applied as a street poster, it quickly became an easily editable meme and one of the first officially supported presidential campaign pieces to grace the internet. In spite of this, many have deemed Donald Trump as the first meme president, considering the fact that much of his earlier campaigns were supported and pushed by 4chan users plus a ton of other online spaces. Due to Obama's previous success online, the Democrats expected to receive the same reception, and yet it is astoundingly clear that Trump had the upper hand leading up to the 2016 election. Memes were created en masse by fervent crowds wanting him to get in half as a joke, believing it'd be funny to see a reality TV star running the country, and half for real, just to see something shook up. This huge social media advantage led to Trump getting a massive boost and introducing many to the concept of memes in 2016, as they were utilised extensively amongst all demographics supporting the former president. The memes surrounding Obama were pushed by a predominantly younger generation, but Trump memes had age-spanning appeal considering more people were on social media during the mid-2010s. Despite Trump memes being also created by young people, even your grandma could share one on Facebook, even if she didn't know where it came from. By demonstrating the need for political supremacy when it comes to memes, the medium exhibits a muddying factor regarding grassroots movements, as those with the most money or vested interests have the potential to make the best memes to get a president elected. Although, this isn't guaranteed to work, but can be effective in the right circumstances. This may have you asking, if memes have the power to elect presidents, then what was the first political meme? Many researchers argue political cartoons can be described as one of the earlier forms of political memes. Just like memes, you had big, cartoonish figures easily identifiable by often exaggerated features and accompanied by simple statements understandable by any demographic. It is widely accepted that the first American political cartoon is Benjamin Franklin's Join or Die, designed in 1754 to encourage colonies to unite during the French and Indian War. It was easy to understand, easy to disseminate, and like many modern memes, designed to trigger an extremely emotional response. In short, political cartoons encapsulate much of the same structural compositions we see in meme culture today, designed to be shared and understood extremely quickly and easily. You've probably seen modern Wojak formats being compared to cartoons of old, with the ugly versus attractive trope staying exactly the same. That isn't to say there's no place for political cartoons in an online landscape. The Onion website does a fantastic job of satirizing the tropes that often come with these drawings, as they often repeat in style and substance. As such, audiences are hungry for something a little different and accessible, which appears in the form of easy-to-understand political memes that are taking over from the niche political cartoons previously filled. However, newspapers generally, at least most of the time, have some sort of quality check for most political cartoons, and as such attempt to refrain from publishing the worst messages. Memes do not have this quality check, and this is where the disadvantage over political cartoons lay for readers, as they can share ideologies ranging from the banal to the absolute extreme very quickly, triggering an emotional response for readers even if their contents are not true. This can be by design to spread and convince populations of a certain image, or simply for shits and giggles in order to provoke large online demographics. At any rate, whilst online publications have no problem mixing memes within their electronic pages, we're yet to see physical newspapers truly replacing political cartoons, so it should be interesting to see if memes become more acceptable in the near future within traditional pen and ink media. 2010 saw a massive revolution in Tunisia covered by social media, leading many to believe the platform could be used for good, politically speaking. It began with a 26-year-old man named Mohamed Bouazizi setting himself on fire to protest the mistreatment of citizens by municipal forces after being ignored whilst attempting to file a complaint against police after they beat him. This genuinely resonated with so many people frustrated with their mistreatment in Tunisia that thousands took to the streets after hearing of Mohamed's death, frustrated with the actions of their oppressive ruling class. Social media and memes heavily propagated this story, and soon after other countries across the Middle East as well as North Africa joined suit in what became known as the Arab Spring, as well as colloquially the Facebook Revolution, as citizens finally had a large platform to call for accountability amongst those in power. At least, this was the utopic use case for social media blasted by big tech at the time, trumpeting the positive aspects of online connection as the very thing that helped create a world-changing revolution. However, academics have since discerned the fact that it's pretty clear social media only helped spread news about the Arab Spring, instead of fully facilitating its organisation as tech giants had so self-righteously claimed. Plus, aside from Tunisia, a lot of the countries involved have suffered as a result of the revolutions, with many of those in power now utilising social media and meme culture as a tool of oppression rather than allowing open criticism. This is because it quickly became clear that many of these countries undergoing revolutions soon ended up facing power vacuums, such as Libya after the US intervened against Gaddafi and then immediately left after his death. As a result, 10 years on, many Arab scholars and critics of authoritarian regimes are mistrustful of the manner in which social media and meme culture is blatantly misused by the ruling class to destroy political discourse, and seek to have giants like Facebook, or Meta, do more to solve these issues. The muck and mire surrounding meme culture and its oppressive use by governments after the Arab Spring leads us to a deeply interesting issue surrounding a genocide indirectly caused by the negligence of social media giants, that of the Rohingya crisis. Myanmar, also known as Burma, has only really just opened up to the world as it was ruled by a military junta for 23 years until 2011, in which a democratic government was reinstated under the watchful eye of the military, until last year in which the military forcefully took right back over again. Last year, you probably saw that video of a dance exercise instructor doing her thing whilst the military stages a coup in the background, but you might not know the role meme culture has in directing some extremely messed up stuff in Myanmar. In a movement that flips the script on its head, extreme nationalist Buddhists located in both government and military positions are responsible for using memes to incite violence against an ethnic group to the point where many thousands have been killed and almost 1 million displaced into unlivable conditions. These extreme nationalist Buddhists in power paint entire ethnicities and religions as scapegoats for Myanmar's problems, claiming that anyone of a different religion cannot be considered Burmese and thus are not to be trusted. This is achieved via social media, with false stories being fabricated and disseminated via easy-to-understand messages in the form of memes. As a result, some people living in Myanmar have been influenced by social media into believing they must kill the Rohingya to stay safe. It's an example of how meme culture can get out of control, spreading misinformation like wildfire and gone unchecked until an entire population is uprooted in what those in power frighteningly describe as clearance operations. Unfortunately, platforms like Facebook have long been criticised for doing nothing when it comes to preventing violence, and a 2018 independent report came to the conclusion that Facebook has become a means for those seeking to spread hate and cause harm, and posts have been linked to offline violence. The issues facing the Rohingya are still ongoing, and mark a story of how social media and meme culture can be abused to the point of inciting death. This brings us to an interesting, and perhaps more positive, example of how countries guiding their international image make use of meme culture, and perhaps no better recent example is that of Ukraine's Twitter account. Since Russia's invasion, Ukraine's President Vladmsorensen has been an absolute gun at not only appealing to the world through social media, but filming himself on the front lines getting shit done. Plus, Ukraine's Twitter account has consistently gone off, from posting memes describing what it's like to live next to Russia, to referencing their unorthodox approach to international relations by writing, "Yes, this is the official account of Ukraine," in their Twitter description. It is run a bit like a brand account, bringing that famous marketing strategy of making itself feel more authentic by ditching corporate speak and leaning heavily into memes and informal communication. It's a fascinating leap for a country to do this on such an informal platform, and a genius marketing tool to incite support for Ukraine's cause. It brings a point to attention. There is less and less difference between online and offline realities. Once, the realm of politics was thought to be dominated by men in suits talking in important-looking spaces inaccessible to the common man. Now, anyone can communicate with a country, engaging by commenting on or sharing its content. It's clear the way the world consumes politics and participates with it has changed irreversibly with the commanding presence Ukraine's account holds and the memes it shares, which can be an absolutely positive direction for social media should it continue to be used responsibly. So, considering the clear power memes have in directing politics, has there been instances wherein companies offer their services in swaying public opinion through digital culture? Of course there has been. We touched upon it earlier with Mike Bloomberg paying meme accounts to post ads for him. However, one of the most interesting companies used today is called Topham Guerin. Topham Guerin began as a PR firm in 2016, run by New Zealanders Sean Topham and Ben Guerin, and has since been used to bolster political campaigns all over the world. They achieve this by creating a ton of accounts and posing them as grassroots political movements, pumping memes out of them 24/7 until they gain traction. One of the most interesting strategies is intentionally creating shit memes for certain groups and then relying on the outcry and response to the shit meme to make it go viral. This strategy totally works, and is often used with a quantity over quality creed, inundating the general public with the same poorly constructed messages over and over again until they block or believe it.
You're going to slap some Calibri font on a shitty, reused meme, and you're going to publish it, and then you get on to the next one. And you know what? That content's going to do better than the thing that your poor graphic designer spent a week on.
These repetitive tactics prove devastatingly effective and have won elections. However, this movement to buy meme creation with express purpose to alter politics muddies the lines between political memes being grassroots movements and elite investments, demonstrating one of meme culture's biggest flaws. If someone has enough money, they can spread any message they like in a manner that appears authentic, despite it not being so. Despite being one of the most effective ways to change the way the world moves politically, the fact remains that political memes are not able to communicate policy well given the limitations they possess structurally. The best memes evoke emotional responses through clear and concise imagery, resonating with large swathes of cultural participators, which means there is a tantalizing incentive to simply create the most provocative content possible regardless of factual substance. As such, it is difficult to discern whether meme culture improves politics by giving ordinary people a platform to voice previously unheard concerns, or absolutely massacres it by by allowing corporations and oppressive rulers an unfair advantage to shout ordinary people down. And given the fact that politicians must expect any political memes they create to be immediately out of their control upon release, one must ask the question of whether some will take advantage of this issue by counting on it, thus abdicating themselves of any responsibility. So what can we do to improve things? Perhaps the most consistent message in the face of online misinformation and issues affected by meme culture is to increase internet education, to ensure people are able to identify targeted messages and specific marketing strategies designed to provoke an emotional response. Essentially, it's clear meme culture has changed politics forever, in some good ways and some bad ways, but whether or not it is actively destroying politics very much depends on the integrity of the major tech giants, governmental bodies, and ordinary citizens taking advantage of it. Also, I'd just like to say thanks to Surfshark for sponsoring this video. Click the link in the description. What meme would you guys like me to give a lesson in next? Let me know in the comments below.
And remember, like and subscribe! Or else.